Now let me tell you something. When you're doing 500 deals a year, your business is no longer real estate. Your business is about building an empire, which is a completely different mindset. You're not focused on changing that toilet or talking to this tenant. You're focused on a completely different level of thinking. And to talk about that, we've got Chris Clothier, VP of Marketing and Sales for Memphis Invest, to talk about how he's doing 600 plus houses a year and the mind shift that he needed to have to get there. Chris, join us on stage, man.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everybody. How you doing this morning? Are you awake after last night? I heard very little response. Are you awake after last night? Do you enjoy? How about yesterday? Can I ask you just a quick question? How was yesterday? By a show of hands, who had a phenomenal day yesterday? Absolutely. Wasn't that great? Now listen, that's a quick little test, because as I'm talking up here today, if I ask you to kind of interact with me and you like what's going on, I want to see that hand get high, okay? If you disagree with me, raise your left foot, all right? And these are perfect with the little, the tablecloths here, because I can't see that. I'm not going to know that you disagree with me anyway, so I'm going to just roll with what I do and have fun. Good enough? Okay, so normally, I was telling these guys that normally this talk is a lot longer for me. Normally this is about a 90-minute talk, and obviously I don't have 90 minutes today. So I broke down into really what I do at the very end. And what I wanted to focus on for the room wasn't so much about real estate, but more about mindset, more about the way that we approach ourselves, our business, the way that we look at how we conduct ourselves, conduct our minds, and how we operate both as individuals and as real estate investors, as entrepreneurs. And so if you will indulge me, we'll have fun here for about the next 25 minutes. At that time, I really want to open it up to take any questions from anybody in the office, or in the, Lord have mercy, anybody in the room here. So we'll have some fun here this morning. I will go as quickly as I can, but try not to talk too fast. You'll notice that I am Southern. I'm from Tennessee. I tend to have a little bit of a twang to my voice. It's natural. I can't do anything about it. I tend to talk a little fast. I'm quite sure you won't understand all the words I use, like fixin', and which means I'm going to do something shortly. But just the same, if I confuse anybody, if I say something that you don't understand, feel free to raise your hand. I would love to get some questions here at the end, okay? So real quickly, why you should pay attention to me. There we go. Okay, so as was mentioned there at the very beginning, I am a co-partner with a company called Memphis Invest. We're one of the largest turnkey companies in the country. Been at this now for over 14 years. My father, my brother, myself. Today we have 75 full-time employees. Last year we completed 637 transactions where we purchased, renovated, placed the property under our management company, and then sold that as a performing asset to a passive investor. So we completed a little over 600 last year. Our goal for this year is 720. And I got to tell you from the very beginning, as I always tell people, that there's no whiteboard anywhere that says this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. We just have a certain mentality about us, and we've made these certain mind shifts that I'm going to share with you today over and over and over again. We sat down in January of this year after the tremendous success we had last year and said, there's something not quite right in our business. There's something that we need to get in and dig into the details again, challenge our team, challenge the people that are responsible for the welfare and the well-being of all of our clients, all of our residents, all of our vendors who, at this point, a lot of people rely on us. And so we said we need to make these same mind shifts again that I'm going to share with you guys. By doing this year in and year out, we today are managing over 4,000 properties in 3 cities. At this time next year, we'll be pushing the 5,000 mark. We don't manage for anyone outside. We don't go pick up properties from other people. These are all properties that we have personally purchased with our money. We've renovated with our money. And we have, in turn, offered as a value to an investor on the backside. Very rarely do we end up losing a client that does not want us to manage their property. They want to manage from someone else because of the mind shifts I'm going to share with you. 5 years now, we've been featured in the Inc. magazine 5,000 fastest growing companies list. And this last year, we were lucky to have 3 companies on that list, not just Memphis Invest, but also our management company in Memphis and our management company in Dallas. So we may know a thing or two about how to scale a business properly, about how to motivate your team, or how to conduct yourself as an entrepreneur and as a business person. So with that, let me get into this real quickly. You heard yesterday in the talk about with the turnkey companies up here, and even with many of the other professionals as they were talking, a phrase over and over again: trust but verify. So I'm here in front of you, and I want to kind of tell you that it's nothing new. I often use the phrase "take nothing on faith," and this right here is a great conference to kind of remind everybody of that, because no matter what, we're still humans. We still make mistakes, and we still want to kind of rely on this one word that gets us all in trouble. It's called faith, okay? And I normally, it's kind of really, it's to me, it's humorous anyway, because normally I'm doing this at the end, and I ask a question like, how many of you in the room like me? And that's normally the response I get, and it's kind of a light-hearted moment for me. But no, seriously, anybody in the room that at this point does like me? Trust? Yeah, and some of you may already know me. Some of you may already know my family, my history, my story. But simply because I'm up here on stage at such a phenomenal conference, and I get all the credibility of everyone that spoke yesterday, yes? I mean, it was a phenomenal lineup. And so here I am again today talking in front of you, and one of the very first things that happens is, this guy makes sense. You know, what they're saying is really good. I think I really like this guy or like this company, and I'm gonna do business with them. So often, especially in the turnkey realm, especially those that are building these passive rental portfolios, the idea of trust and faith gets thrown out the window to, I just really like what I'm hearing, I really like what I'm seeing. I mean, he was on stage at the Best Ever conference. Are you kidding me? He's gotta be likable. He's gotta be trustworthy. I'm gonna take a leap of faith. I'm buying properties from him. I'm not gonna go see him. I trust him. I'm not gonna go out and visit the team. I'm not gonna go see what's happening. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's the number one way investors make the biggest mistake they can make. You have to hold anyone that you're going to do business with accountable. Now, that's not just when you are buying passive investments. That's not just when you are investing far from home. That's when you're hiring a contractor. That's when you are bringing a tenant into one of your properties to be a resident there for years going forward. No matter what part of your business you're talking about, you do not have the option of giving somebody your faith until they have earned that right. Does that make sense? You cannot afford as an investor, and I will tell you right now that 70% of the people that I've done business with have never met me personally one-on-one. They've never seen the property that they own. I met a gentleman a few minutes ago that we may have met before. I'm not 100% sure. I meet a lot of people, but he comes up and introduces himself to me and lets me know that he owns property with our company. I haven't met him. To the best of my knowledge, that might be the first time that he and I have had the chance to shake hands. That is a tremendous amount of faith to give someone, and that has to be earned. And one of the quickest mind shifts that we have to make as investors is stop giving somebody credit because we saw them on stage, because we saw them in a webinar, because they have really slick marketing, okay? Because none of that means anything. All that is the emotional pull that really good companies and really good salespeople are phenomenal at learning how to move our emotions. We have to remove that. We have to learn to truly trust but verify. We have to learn to take nothing on faith. And look, I'm going to add one thing to that at the very end, is that for us as a company, we sat down all of our vendors. We spent $29 million last year renovating single-family homes. And we sat down every vendor in all three of the cities, Memphis, Dallas, and Houston, brought them all in, sat them all down, gave them all price sheets for what they specialize in, and let them know that if we find that that price is not the best price we can get, we are moving on to someone else. You can always be replaced. We trust that you're giving us the best price, but now we're going to verify, and we're going to hold everyone accountable. We expect to have the lowest price for the best service we can get, obviously because we're doing volume. But my point is that when you sit down people, and some have been with us for over 14 years, from the day we started, and we let them know that we still expect the best value we can get for us and for our client. And so that's a great example of trust but verify. I trust that they're doing a good job. I trust that they're giving me the best price. But I still employ 12 team members that go and check every renovation on a weekly basis so that I'm not hiring anybody and telling them, hey, go out there and have fun and do what you want to do and here's your check. We're still making sure years later and millions of dollars in payments later that we trust, but we're verifying the work is done correct. Good enough? All right, easy. Number 2, inspect what you expect. For me, this is one of the cornerstones that built our company into what it is today. It's called accountability. Inspect what you expect. If you expect a job to be done and you want it done properly, you must inspect to the level that you expect. And the day that you accept something less, you now have a new expectation. Does that make sense? Are you awake? Okay, I make sure my southern twang hasn't put you to sleep yet. So listen, inspect what you expect boils down to a very, very simple adage for us, and that is that we have spent years fine-tuning how to purchase, how to renovate, how to manage property. As I told you, we have 75 full-time team members today. We have over 200 vendors that we use in our 3 cities. But with everyone, including myself, there are only 2 ways to do any job. Write this down. 2 ways to do any job. And it's not right and wrong. Understand, it is right and it is again. And that's it. If you go into anything, any relationship, any job that you're doing, any renovation, any opportunity that you have, and you carry any different mindset. If you look at a wall and say that wall can be painted, and one painter tells me it's going to cost $200, and the other one says it's going to cost $50, understand that there are not a $200 job and a $50 job. There's only one way, and that's the right way. And if it's not done right, we'll do it again. And if the guy for $50 gets paint all over the floor and paint all over the ceiling, and you can see all the paint lines everywhere, did you get a job done right? So do not accept less than what you expect. Every dollar you spent is valuable to you. You have to treat it like it's the most precious dollar you have. And so you should never expect anything less than the best for your dollar. And that goes in everything that you do. Purchasing a property, working with an agent, working with a title company, hiring vendors, whatever it ends up being. There are only 2 ways to do anything. And when you get your team to understand that I will inspect what you do to the level of my expectation, then you'll stop having to worry about the again part of the equation, and it'll only be done right, constantly. Those 2 fit together. Everybody understand? You inspect what you expect, and you trust, but you verify. And when you fit these into your business, into your mindset, and say, this is exactly how I'm going to operate at all times, 365, with every relationship I have, including if I hire my little brother to do a job, doesn't matter, I'm going to hold him to the level that I expect, you will see a difference in the relationships that you have with those in whomever you're doing business with. The next one, be professional as an investor. I have fun with this one. I have really specific. This is one of those things that really gets under my skin. For investors that don't treat their investing or their business as a business, that don't act professional. I used to live in Colorado and a lot of this group here today is not from Colorado. Is that right? A lot of people traveled in from out of town. Is that correct? Raise your hand if you travel from out of town. Okay, so those of you that live here in Colorado, let's do that the other way around. Raise your hand if you live here in Colorado. So when I lived here and I was part of the different real estate groups, I don't know what it was, but it was like there was this badge of honor that here in Colorado you could wear your flip-flops and your cutoff shorts and your T-shirt into the bank and get money. And you could conduct yourself in a business that, hey, I've made it, and so I don't really care what anybody thinks about me, the way I look, the way I dress, the way I carry myself, because I'm whatever, might be a millionaire and nobody knows it. I might have lots of money. I might have lots of houses. I work for myself. I don't have to work for the man. I'm going to stick it to him every day, and so I'm going to dress however I want to dress. I'm going to conduct my business however I want to conduct it. And it drives me bananas because I have a phrase that I really try and live by, and that is dress the way you want to be addressed. And so the really funny thing is I don't think it's out there on the internet. I hope it's not out there on the internet. But there's actually a picture of me on Halloween when we all had a costume contest at our office. And I dressed as Captain Hook from head to toe. And it was phenomenal. You would have thought I came straight out of the movie. But I forgot that day that we had a meeting with 2 local banks that were coming into our office to talk about some funding that we were doing. And I am a part owner of the company. And look, nothing embarrasses me at all. I can handle any situation. I just roll with it. But it was really funny when I walked out of there. And these are people that we had an existing relationship with, so we did business with them. But we walked out of there and I said, you know what? I will just never let that mistake happen to me again, because we're all talking and kind of funny, but most of the conversation centered on other people in the room and not on me, because I'm dressed like freaking Captain Hook, right? And so, as funny as it is, and I can laugh about it today, it impressed upon me that I will never put myself in a situation where people will not address me as a serious investor, as a serious entrepreneur, and understand exactly the level that I have of respect for myself. Now, let me carry that on. How many of y'all in here do direct mail? Raise your hand, direct mail. Do you scrub your list? A little louder. Only one person said he scrubbed his list, so I'm assuming everyone else does not. Is that right? Does everybody scrub your list? Yes. Okay. So this week, this bothers the, I can't cuss here, right? Oh, okay, all right, cool. This bothers the hell out of me, okay? This is what I received this week, and this is 22 postcards from one person. And so these are on a lot of properties that I own, and I own properties in different entities. So this is just one entity that I received from one person that obviously went to a weekend boot camp about direct mail and put some money down and bought a list and said, here, I'll send all these postcards and let's just send it out, let's go. These, if I didn't want to make a point, would have gone straight into the trash, as they would probably with most investors. Anybody that owns more than one property and you're getting something like this, it's nuts. Now, this only spends a few dollars and it's a who knows? Her name's Stephanie, but I highly doubt that. That could be just anything. The reality is that this was a complete turnoff to me. And the reason why? Because this person does not respect themselves or their business. I do not take them seriously at all. Anybody that doesn't want to take the time to scrub their list and save themselves, it may only be a few dollars, but that few dollars matters. It means a lot. To somebody that wants to take their time and spend their money and send out these 22 postcards to one person, the same entity, and say, instead of just one, just make your point and make your impression, but instead this becomes overkill. And this becomes somebody that doesn't take the time to pay attention to detail. And those that don't pay attention to detail do not get my time. That's simple for me. This is not acting professional. This is acting like an idiot that doesn't know what the value of their money is. Now, if anybody in the room says, well, I always send a postcard to if they've got 50 houses, I'm going to send it 50 times, so I really want to make an impression on them, fantastic. Just understand that for some people, you're making the wrong impression. It's either way, doesn't matter. This is just me. But this is one of those things that drives me bananas when those do not respect themselves and their business enough to act like a professional. I had a friend when I lived out here in Colorado. I'm going to go back to that dress thing real quickly. And he was wealthy. And he enjoyed, for him it was a game. He would go tour houses and big houses, $2-3 million houses. And he would go to their open houses. And he would rent a car, because he wouldn't drive his fancy car, but he would rent a car and go to the house, and he would wear, as I said earlier, he'd wear sneakers and cut-off shorts and T-shirts. He wouldn't go in and he would mess with the real estate agent, because he knew he could buy it, but he loved seeing the reactions of people, the way they judged him, the way he was dressed. And so I ended kind of with that for me, being professional as an investor is extremely important. My relationships are important. My relationships with my team is important. My 75 team members, the over 100 vendors that we work with, the 1,800 investors that we manage their $500 million portfolio for. It's important. The way that I conduct myself is important. The way that I answer the phone, the way that I speak with them, the way that I respond to them in my emails. Each of these things are vital to my survival as an entrepreneur and businessman. For me, reaching the next level and the next goal that I've set for myself, or that we've set as a company. And no matter how big or how small you are, understand, I used to sit where you are. I often tell people that when we started, we did one house on day one. That's it. Don't look at us up here and say, this is a guy that's buying 700 houses a year, so they're somehow different than us. I'm not. I'm no different than anyone in this room. You can carry yourself and conduct yourself in business the exact same way that I do, and you should. That it matters, the impression you make, the impression you leave someone with, because you never know when you're going to re-encounter them somewhere else down the line. And not respecting yourself to dress the way you want to be addressed, to take the time to follow the detail of a mailing list that you're sending out, to take the time to actually have every call that comes into you answered. If you're going to take the time to mail the list, don't let it go to an answering service. Don't let it go to an answering machine, I guess. Make sure the phone is answered. Act professional. Spend a few extra dollars to beat out your competition, because you will be surprised at how low the bar is that you have to get over. But if you're willing to take little extra steps and be professional in the way that you conduct yourself, it will make all the difference. The next mind shift, and I had the pleasure of having a conversation with a gentleman in the room here the other night. I'm gonna keep this one a little brief. Cheaper's never better. I don't care who you are. I don't care who the company is. I don't care who you're doing business with. This one relates almost specifically to really my niche, which is turnkey real estate. Cheaper is never better. There's a mindset that we as people have, and that is loss aversion, okay? It's a little psychological trigger that we have. Loss aversion. We are more averse to losing money than we are attracted to making money, most of us, okay? And it's that loss aversion that leads us to think and justify in our mind that something that is cheaper is going to be better. And I'm gonna tell you right now, just because it's more expensive doesn't mean it's better. But you cannot get value out of cheap. The problem right off the bat is the first word, cheap. When you opt for cheap, when you want to go low, when you want to and are attracted to low price, the shiny trinket over there that is, if I buy this lower price property, I'm going to lose less money than if I buy the higher price property. Well, the problem with that is that when you buy the lower price property, your risk goes up so high that your chance of loss is much higher. Your chance of losing 100% of what you invest in the cheaper property is much greater than your chance of losing any money on a higher price property because of the value that it brings. The demand, the value of the home itself, the target resident market. There's a lot more factors that go into investing in real estate than just price. And unfortunately, many investors, especially in the turnkey world, are attracted to cheaper. So I always want to kind of hit people across the head and right between the eyes with cheaper is never, ever, in any scenario ever, better. Now, you can make money with cheap properties as an active investor, somebody that loves slinging hammers and somebody that loves knocking on doors and collecting rent. And there are many investors I know that are very good at it. But if you're going to be passive and you're going to buy far from home and you're going to buy what you believe is a completed turnkey model, a turnkey process, going cheap is not the route to go. Have at it if you want to, but that's my advice, and I tell you that from 14 years and over 4,000 properties of experience. And I often tell people, I cut my teeth on the cheap $30,000 piece of crap houses that exist in the Midwest that I lost millions on, okay? And that's okay. But when I get up here and I tell you something along those lines, listen, your choice, but cheaper is never better. Learn to define value as more than just price. Lastly, and I'm probably speaking to a room full of people that I don't necessarily need to say this to, but it's always good to hear. You will become, without a doubt and without fail, these 6 people you surround yourself with. That's nothing new. That's not original to me. If you listen to Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn or any of these other people, you've heard this. You already know this. We don't always practice it and believe it. You must make a mind shift to get away from, and forgive me if there's anybody in here that this relates directly to, you must stop listening to your broke uncle that wants to tell you how bad real estate is. How many of you have somebody around you that said, you're going to another one, a what? You're flying to Denver for some real estate conference? Raise your hand. Okay, yeah. All right, very good. I have friends that have that exact mindset and approach. I'm still friendly with them, of course. I still allow them to see my Facebook social media feed, but beyond that, that's about it. That was kind of a joke, but that didn't, that's all right, that didn't work. You must cut away. And it will be one of the most difficult things you will do. But you must cut away those that do not share your mindset, that do not share your mentality, that do not understand and buy into and believe in your dream. It doesn't matter how audacious it is. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter if you're sitting here today thinking, I've only done one deal, but I want to do 100 deals a year. It's possible. But if you surround yourself with people that are still trying to get started, if you surround yourself with people that are like, I am so excited, I just spent $5,000 on this brand new internet course I just found, and it's the 6th one I've done so far this year. I know it's only February, but it's good. I'm super excited about it. And they never, ever buy a house, stop. That is not the person you want to listen to. You're surrounded in a room full of people. You have opportunities yesterday and today to build true, real, valuable relationships. And if you will take the time to invest in them, share, get vulnerable, let people know who you truly are, allow them to give you advice and let you know who they truly are. You surround yourself with the right 6 voices and you can go anywhere you want to go and be anything that you want to be. But it is up to you. And as long as you surround yourself with the wrong 6 people, you will not go where you want to go. You cannot surround yourself with someone who says, I don't have time to talk to you. I don't have time to give you advice. No, I just don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I'm too important. I got too much going on. Don't you know who I am? Leave them. Forget them. That's not who you want to talk to. That's not who you want to listen to. You were given a challenge yesterday to try and make, was it 1 new friend a day? If you didn't yesterday, well, you still have time to make 2 today. But the reality is that you need to surround yourself with 6 open people who are willing to get vulnerable with you and tell you their true story, tell you how they got where they are. They're willing to help lift you up. They're willing to hold you accountable. They're not going to give you a handout, but they're willing to tell you what it takes in real terms. And when you do that, you can absolutely be whatever it is you choose to be. It all depends on who you surround yourself with. With that, I have time left. I wanted to specifically leave this time here. I'm so glad I didn't try and do my regular presentation because that would have been a disaster. There's 11 minutes left. I want to answer questions. I don't know if any have popped up in those last few minutes that I've been talking, but I want to answer questions from anybody in the room that may, again, want to know whether it's turnkey, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's real estate, whether it's how the hell do I find those 6 people? But I want to end with this before we go to questions. Anybody that has questions, go ahead and raise your hand. I think that I don't know if we have mics or not, but if you don't, I will be more than happy to repeat the question if you'll just yell it out to me. I want to tell you this. Every year, I read a book by Frank McKinney called Make It Big. It's a phenomenal book, okay? Written a long time ago. I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. He's a good dude. And I read a lot of books. I read a book every week to 2 weeks, and I read on all kinds of topics. But every year I take time to read that book again. I take time to go back through these mind shifts that I know I need to make, and I make the adjustments I need to make. I'm not scared of work. There are no secrets in this. I tell people all the time, there is no secret. My family, what was instilled in me at an early age was work your ass off. There's only one way to the top. There's only one way to become a true category of one company with no competition and no one that even stands close to you. And that is to work your ass off. You outwork everyone else, you'll get there. And I will end with this. I keep coming with one more thing to end with. Write this down. Write it down. This happened to me recently. This is something that I really ingrained in every fiber of my body lives with this. I will never, ever sacrifice what I want most, again, for what I want in the moment. And I've done it so many times in my life, and it will never happen again. That I finally have kind of snatched onto that little mind shift that helps me understand that I will never sacrifice what I want most for what I want in the moment. And if I'm not there yet, I'll put the beer down and pick up the book all day long, because I will absolutely drive, outwork everyone to get where I want to be and what I want most. Yes, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, you're a very motivated individual, as I think a lot of us here are. And I feel like any asset class you'd get involved in, you'd be successful in. But you're in Memphis. I'm in Denver. Mm-hmm. I know cheap is never better, but it is cheaper to invest in Memphis homes than it is right now in this market.
Sure.
And so I feel like turnkey is fantastic, but I don't feel like I could do that locally. Is that your view? Is that, okay, that's what I went after because turnkey was just the best in my market, and I should really focus on what's best in my own market, which may not be, turnkey because of that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you first off that as a passive investor, if you can't...
A provider.
Oh, you're a provider. So
You're a provider, right?
All right, so I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. There's nobody in Denver that does turnkey because everybody believes this belief that it's all about cash flow. My company, I don't sell cash flow. I work in Memphis, Dallas, and Houston. I sell properties as high as $250,000. I do not want to attract people to me for cash flow. I try and attract people to my company based on security and consistency. That when you work with my company, you know that your investment is secure and the consistency of your return exists because of who we are, the provider itself. So just because you're in a market that's more expensive, I want you to understand too that Memphis is a lower price point. And I can buy properties in Memphis for $5,000 tomorrow. I can buy 100 of them, okay? I could be a millionaire by next Friday by buying 100 of those properties, putting 10,000 on them, and marketing the hell out of them and sell them all. But I won't do that, okay? Because that's not what we sell. In Denver, just because you don't sell cash flow doesn't mean that you won't have a plethora of investors that want high cost or high price properties, a better investment. They see a better value there. And if you provide them with the ability for them to see, okay, they need to see that you're going to be able to give them a consistent rate of return, they'll line up at your door, okay? Now, you won't get them all, and I don't want them all. Right. If I'm speaking in a room like this and I'm talking about my turnkey company, I often try to divide the room up very, very quickly. I'm looking for 5 to 10 people that actually will value what I bring. The other, or 5 to 10% of the room. The other 90, 95% of the room, I'm trying to help them define what they value most and then point them in the right direction so that I can really concentrate on the 5 to 10. So if you want to provide turnkey in Denver, you need to figure out who it is you're talking to, and it will not be the masses that want turnkey. It'll be that small percentage that say, I value consistency and security, and I don't want the 50,000 property in the Midwest. I'll gladly take the $300,000 property in Denver, and I'll take 3 of them with my $1 million 1031 exchange in exchange for a higher level of security. I want y'all to write this down real quick. I'll talk too long. Listen, right now in this market, especially with turnkey, you need to value return of your capital above all else. Prices are going crazy right now. Every market, prices of materials, prices of labor, prices of the properties themselves. You need to value return of your capital. Do business with someone in a location that you have a very high level of certainty that I'm going to get my capital back whenever I want it. Now, don't go in there thinking you're going to turn this over in 2 to 3 years. That's not the case. You should invest in turnkey passive investments if you're looking for a 5, 7, 10-year minimum window. You're just looking to place your money somewhere where it's safe. But you should value a return of capital. When you feel secure there, start looking for the best return on capital. But if you go in at the very beginning saying, look, I'm super excited about Cleveland. I can buy $30,000 houses. I'm going to make an amazing 27% cash on cash. Look, right there. There's a piece of paper. It says it. Cash on cash. It's going to be phenomenal. Prepare to lose your money. I mean, it's gone. The second you buy it, it's over. It's gone. Because you won't get that capital back, and you sure as hell are not going to get that return. So do business in places and with people you know you're going to get your money back first. And then try and maximize the amount that you get on that investment. Who else? Yes, sir. I'll come right back to you.
This is a little more tactical, but who in your organization is responsible for the final sign-off on a rehab? You go in, you rehab a house. Is it your contractor?
No.
You've got a third party, or not third party, you got a separate project manager, or?
Yes, we employ a dozen project managers throughout our company, and they are responsible for the final sign-off. And yesterday, and again, your inspect what you expect never stops, ever. My father this week, the CEO of our company, was out in houses in Dallas, and 6 a.m. meeting Friday morning. Everybody get your ass in here and sit down, because we have houses that are completed that in our eyes are not completed. You heard all these things yesterday about systems and processes. We have it down. We have an exact way we do things, and there is no deviation. And we sure as hell don't trust the contractor. No, the contractor will not tell us when the job is done.
Got it. Are your contractors all third-party 1099 guys?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. And then, you didn't ask it, but I'm going to throw it in there. If you're buying turnkey and somebody gives you that answer right there, the question you should always follow up with is it okay if I get a third-party inspection done before I buy a house? Okay? And if the answer is no, then you walk. You just move. If the answer is you don't need one because we do a great job, see you later. Okay? They should always say absolutely. Because a good third-party inspection, and we want clients to get a third-party inspection because it holds us accountable. It's easy to hold that up in front of your team and say, look at what us and our vendors are missing. And sometimes it's mundane little stuff that you're not going to catch anyway, and that's fine. But sometimes it's big-ticket items, and you're like, what the hell are we doing? So you want that. All right, I got 3 minutes, so we're going to do speed round.
I'm curious about the structure of your employees,
Yeah.
and specifically what you track on a daily basis.
Oh my gosh.
Obviously, with all of that going on, there's only so much you can handle. So I'm wondering how you have that structured.
Yeah.
And making sure you're only focused on the key
So
points.
we're entrepreneurs by nature. I was raised in an entrepreneurial family, so we obviously want to be involved in everything, which is a major bad habit to have. We have a wall that's it's as big as half this wall, and it's a whiteboard, and it's just loaded. We're data freaks, and so we have data. We have it printed out. We have it on our PDAs. We have it everywhere. So we're constantly mining data. What we learned to do was, and I believe the gentleman, Scott Lewis, did I get that right? Was the gentleman from the military? He said something yesterday that I wrote down. I hope everybody caught this. Do you know what the number one job of a leader is? What's a leader's number one job? And whether you're the CEO, the owner, the whatever the hell it is, you're a leader. What's your number one job? Somebody just said it fairly clearly. You said train your replacement? Raise your hand. So, spot on. Your number one job is to develop other leaders. It's the hardest thing to do as an entrepreneur. One of the most difficult things to do is to let go. So we now have layers of leadership. I'm basically on the board. And we have a CFO that really runs our company today, because my father's still the CEO by title. We have an executive team that are longtime leaders with our company that have been trained by us. They know exactly how we want things done. Then they have department heads, and we have team leaders below them. So we have multi-layers of leadership. And, of course, accountability just goes up the chain. And so what I do on a daily basis, I told everybody it's boring as all get out. Does that tell me I'm over, or is that how many minutes I've got left? Okay, perfect. All right. I got more time than I thought. So, anyway, real quickly. So we have, I sit at a conference table all day. That's what I do. And we bring in our teams all day. Different groups of team, different heads of leadership, different layers of leadership, and we hold them accountable for all the data that we have going on around us. And then every once in a while, we push away from the table and say, we're hitting the field. We're going to go inspect what we expect. We're going to hold everyone else accountable as we expect our team to do, if that makes sense. So as you're hiring, you're just developing somebody to do your job your way, and then you hold them accountable to it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What were the different tranches of your growth that you had to put your systems in place?
Oh, yeah. So I was telling somebody the other night that when I love mindset, and I love just creating things that you think are not possible. We had never even done 200 homes in a year when we said we're going to do 300. And we were working off Google Docs, spreadsheets. We were working off, just this craziness. And we went from 189 properties in 2010, and then in 2011, we did 301. Our goal was 300. closed out 301. We said, well, now we're going to do 450 just because we say if we put a number out there, we're just going to go for it, and we're going to hold the team accountable. And we actually hired a gentleman from Salesforce who we implemented Salesforce. That's the backbone of our company. We run all of our systems through it. Our team, over time, as we began to grow from 300 to 450 to 500 to 600 and 630, whatever it is we've done the last 2 years, that it all becomes a function of numbers. So you begin to learn what capacity people can handle and at what level do I need to add one more person. And I don't need to add everyone. I need to add one person in customer service, one person in renovations, one person in, yes, absolutely. But systems were the key, and we went with Salesforce. So we use HubSpot for all of our marketing, which is a phenomenal platform, and then we use Salesforce as the backbone of everything. And we're building our own custom management software on the backbone of Salesforce, because you heard all the different, no, because none of them are, today we use Propertyware. Is anybody in the room from Propertyware?
I've used it, but I switched.
No. Is anybody work for Propertyware? Okay, good, because it's not phenomenal. And it's difficult when you're at over 4,000 properties now. It's not user-friendly. We've done the best with it, but yeah. And so but yes, when we reached the level, we didn't do anything fancy up to 300. We were using Google Docs and obviously our own drive. So it wasn't until we reached that level and we were managing probably 1,500 properties that we said, we did have Propertyware at that point.
But you're running two businesses within your organization. One is a management side.
Yes.
And then the other is a broker side, right? Well, you're going out and actively pursuing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, yes. Okay, I got time for maybe one more, and if I'm fast, two more. Okay, I'm going to do this quick. Math is the problem, okay? That you just have to understand. You're buying a 1,000 square foot home. You're paying $60,000 for it. There's lots of little ways to trick people and say, well, its replacement cost is really $90,000, so you're getting a $30,000 discount. It's phenomenal. If it burns down, you make money. It's good. Don't fall into that. If somebody buys a property and wants to sell it to you fully turnkey, fully rehabbed, and the price, let's use that $60,000 mark, okay? A simple search of public records tells you what they paid for it. Now, when you get down into the range of $5,000, $10,000, you have to understand there's zero demand for that house. None. There is no demand. There's no demand from the local boots on the ground, I know what the hell I'm doing investor. Okay? And yet someone was smart enough to come in and buy it. And they tell you that we did a complete, beautiful overhaul of this house. And the pictures that they take are from the perfect angle. I mean, they're really good. They're perfect angle. They show you just what they want you to see. And you do the math through it. What you have to understand is that you cannot purchase, properly renovate. And I'm talking about pulling permits, touching every major system, eliminating as much as possible any deferred maintenance. Because you're selling this home to an investor that should not expect issues for the next 5, 7, 10 years. They should expect a stable return. And then on top of that, they need to make money. So they're going to buy it, they're going to renovate it properly, and they're going to make money. Now, not just them, but they have to have a team. Because especially if you're a faraway investor, you should expect communication. I heard the young lady yesterday talk about the communication back and forth from a management company. We call every client every month, regardless, every month. But that's 7 full-time people in that department that we have, that their sole responsibility is to connect. And you cannot provide that service at that low cost. The math doesn't work. There's not enough money to feed all the pigs at the trough. There's just not enough. And who wants to make the most? You may know? Well, of course, okay. Yeah. In that scenario, the guy selling the house, he wants to make the most. There's a lot of companies out there that are, keep it all, stay small, okay? And the Midwest has become a great location for people to be able to pick up cheap, renovate cheap, market like a madman, and then just attract people left and right that won't trust and verify, that give automatic faith because they hear this wonderful sounding podcast or this great little marketing piece, this slick little ad that they sent me and these great little, the math doesn't work. You must do business with somebody that values who they are and what they do, and they're willing to tell you that I make X on every deal, and I spend X on every deal, and I pass on deals that don't match this. And the return I give is over here. Got it? Somebody that says that they're willing to tell you that this is the value I bring at the price I bring it, that matters. Somebody that says, I just want to sell you a house, forget it. And I think I'm probably over time. And we want to keep this thing rolling like we did yesterday. Guys, listen, I am humbled and very appreciative of the time that you gave me and let me speak up here and talk today. So this has been a phenomenal day for me. I'll be here the rest of the day if you want to talk one-on-one. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.